Okay, how to evaluate your business. A multiple is calculated as multiple equals performance metric A over performance metric B. A multiple can be used to show how much your business is worth in the market and how much you'll be able to make by selling your business away. For example, using the P over E ratio, if you plan to sell your company at 12x multiplier, how much will the price be? Or how much should your company be earning before you sell it away? The price of the company can be estimated by multiplying the annual earnings of the company by the multiplier of 12. Simple maths, but this formula can only be used as a rough estimation of how much your business is worth. However, a more precise way of doing it will be using the EV over EBIT formula. It's used to measure the cash flow available to the firm or business. EV to earnings before interest and taxes, also referred to as EV over EBIT, is used for less capital-intensive companies with a smaller depreciation and amortization expense. All multiples act as a single number that analysts can multiply by some financial metric to determine the relative value or worth. With the EV over EBIT formula, you'll be able to make comparison between you and your competitors who are doing similar types of business. After the business valuation, chances are your business is not worth as much as you expected it to be, or your business does not have a healthy earning history. So in the long run, the company might not be able to earn more than what you're already earning now. So how do you sell your business for a 4x to 12x multiplier? And what's a multiple anyway? A multiple measures some aspects of a company's financial well-being, determined by dividing one metric by another metric. The metric in the numerator is typically larger than the one in the denominator. A multiple works in a way that it is a measurement of risk. The inverse or reciprocal of a multiple shows the current return on an investment. So the higher the multiple, the less risk a buyer perceives in the transaction, and the more likely they'll pay more for the investment. For example, the inverse of a 4x multiple is 25%. For a buyer to require a 25% return on an investment, the business may not be growing or is in a tougher, more capital-intensive industry. Either way, a general interpretation is that this investment is pretty risky. In comparison, the inverse of a 12x multiplier is, get this, 0.08%, meaning that the buyer would be willing to pay 7 times only if the investment is much less risky. A surefire way to gain long-term wealth is investing in gold and silver. First, let's talk about investing in silver. The investment offers a lot of different options. We'll go through a brief overview of the focal points and conveniences of purchasing the most well-known silver bullion and silver coin speculations. What makes silver? Silver, just like gold, has been used across time. Research shows that silver is used mostly as coins since early days. However, unlike gold, silver has a variety of industrial and commercial applications. This is because silver is more flexible in its characteristics than gold. It remains the best electrical conductor known to man, highly resistant to corrosion. It's among the most malleable and ductile metals, and it's a splendid thermal conductor. The rarity of metals denotes their value increment. Such is the case in silver, where silver is a byproduct of different base metals, copper, lead, and zinc. 90% of the world's silver mining industries experience bankruptcies. The world is running out of silver. There are several reasons why you should invest in silver. The value will always appreciate in the long run, where the value of silver is stable regardless of the currency that you're purchasing it with. The increment of its value, due to its demand in various fields or industries, will always be great. The space between supply and demand is getting wider, leaving little amount of silver left to sell, so there's scarcity. Consequently, as we can see, the global demand of silver is growing. For example, all of the following uses of silver are growing: medical, electronics, food processing, water treatment, building materials, and consumer products. The focus here is that all of these items are on demand. So even during an economic downturn, there will be a high level of base demand. In terms of investment, the investment demand is soaring, especially in the USA. The US Mint sold more 1-ounce silver eagles in January 2013 than in any other month since they began creating silver in 1986. Other than that, total global demand of silver in the recent years is about 880 million a year, where the worldwide mine production is only about 760 million ounces per year. This example clearly demonstrates how silver is still relevant, where the demand exceeds the supply due to its practicality. The next step is to invest in property. Property investment is when you own or buy a property that you're not staying in and is generating income for you. This sort of income is passive income. With your business expansion, you'd want to keep your surplus of finance invested in precious metals or property. If the money only sits in a bank and does nothing, it will devalue over time due to the cost of inflation. Money, when not working, gets lazy and fat, and that is exactly what happens in a bank. A mere 1 to 3% interest rate gained is not enough to hedge against inflation of 10% or higher. There's a 7% gap at least. There are 3 steps to start investing in property: checking your funds, managing your finances, and creating an investment plan. The first step is to check your funds. This will give you a rough idea on the amount of cash that you have readily available to invest, or the remaining gap to invest. In this step, you would also need to understand all the costs involved in acquiring and maintaining a property, especially if it's your first time investing in one. If you do not do your research, it's easy to fall into the trap of a rookie investor. The property bought will have poor cash flow because after netting off all the uncounted expenses, net profit or net cash flow may be low to negative. To hedge against this is step number 2. Plan out a budget and manage your company profit and loss sheet, ensuring that recurring and operational costs are low and profit margins are healthy. A recommendation is to allocate 10 to 20% of company net profits into investing into property. Be disciplined about this, and after 1 to 3 years, you'll find the company assets have doubled or tripled over the years because of the capital appreciation of good property. Step 3 is to create an investment plan. A successful long-term wealth creation through property investment requires that you set your personal goals, decide where you would want to end up, and then formulate a plan to get there. The purpose of the plan is to serve as a structure for you to stay in the game. Your investment plan may include detailing your strategy, doing your research, and setting up your preferred criteria for investment.